Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into something that's, well, it's pretty much at the core of the American story, immigration. And we're going to explore this really powerful idea that outsiders didn't just join American society, they actually built it.
So let's kick things off with this question about a guy named Al Jolson. You know, he was a Russian immigrant who became this huge star in America. But his story? It's way more than just some rags to riches thing. It's really the key that unlocks a much bigger idea, that the American way isn't always created by insiders. In fact, it's often invented by the people who start on the outside looking in.
All right, so for this first part, let's really dig into that. How is it that the view from the outside has, time and time again, ended up shaping what we think of as quintessentially American?
Okay, so check out this story. Back in the 1890s, this Czech composer, Antonín Dvořák, gets a huge assignment: create American music. Now you'd think the establishment wanted something that sounded, well, European, right? But Dvořák did something completely radical. He actually listened to the sounds that were already here, the incredible, powerful spirituals of African Americans. He recognized that as the true, authentic soul of America. Isn't that wild? It literally took an outsider to hear the music that insiders were completely deaf to.
And you know what? This kind of influence is absolutely everywhere you look. I mean, think about it. Hollywood, the dream factory of the entire world? Yeah, built by immigrants from Eastern Europe. God Bless America, maybe the most patriotic song out there, written by Irving Berlin, who came over from Russia as a little kid. Even stuff we think is so American, like hamburgers and hot dogs, popularized by German immigrants. We're not talking about small contributions here. These are the actual building blocks of American culture, and they were laid by people who came from somewhere else.
But okay, this story of incredible contributions, it's really only half the picture. Because running right alongside it, there has always been another very American tradition. A loud, passionate, and yeah, sometimes pretty angry debate about who even gets to be an American in the first place.
So this really lays out the arguments we hear constantly today, right? On one hand, you have very real concerns, things like the strain on local resources, the need to uphold immigration law, and of course, border security. But on the other hand, you have people calling for us to look at the actual evidence, to think about the complicated reasons people migrate, and to find that balance between security and our humanitarian side. But you know the one thing almost everyone agrees on? The system is broken. It's been broken for a long, long time.
And here's the kicker. While the names and faces in today's headlines might feel new, the debate itself, it is as old as the country. Seriously, the fears, the arguments, the anxieties, you can find echoes of them in pretty much every single chapter of American history.
I mean, look at this timeline. It just drives home how this cycle repeats. Back in the mid-1800s, you had the Know Nothing Party going after Irish and German Catholics. Fast forward to the early 1900s, and suddenly the target is new immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe. Then in the 1920s, the U.S. puts these strict quotas in place to limit people from non-Protestant countries. And then more recently, starting in the 90s, we see laws that create a much more restrictive path to citizenship. It's the same pattern, just a different group of people facing their own version of the same debate.
Okay, so let's shift gears and talk about the economic side of things. This is where the debate can get really heated, right? So for this next part, we're going to try to step back from all the noise and just focus on what the numbers in our source material are actually telling us.
So, you see this number on the screen, $115.2 billion. What is that? Well, one study found that over just a 7-year period, that's how much more money immigrants paid into the Medicare system than they took out. That's a surplus. Over $115 billion flowing into a system we all depend on.
All right, let's tackle one of the biggest fears you hear, that immigrants take jobs and drive down wages. It's a huge concern for a lot of people. But what do the experts who actually study this stuff say? Well, this quote really sums it up. The consensus among economists is that overall, the negative impact on the wages and jobs of U.S.-born workers has been minimal.
Okay, but what about the flip side? What about creating jobs? This chart, honestly, it's stunning. In 2018, more than half, 55% of America's billion-dollar startups were founded by immigrants. Just let that sink in. We're not just talking about immigrants filling jobs, they are creating them at a mind-blowing rate. They are literally building the companies of the future.
And this impact is especially huge in tech and science. I mean, think about the CEOs of some of the biggest companies on the planet: NVIDIA, Google, Microsoft, even SpaceX, all immigrants. Nearly 30% of our doctors and surgeons are immigrants. And Nobel Prizes, between 1990 and 2004, over a third of U.S. winners were foreign-born. It's just an incredible injection of brainpower into the country.
So we've talked about the massive cultural and economic impact. But what's it actually like for the people who make this journey? Let's take a look now at some of the hurdles immigrants face when they try to build a new life here.
One of the biggest obstacles they can run into is something called the public charge rule. So what is it? It's basically a test where immigration officials try to figure out if someone is likely to become dependent on government benefits. And if they think the answer is yes, they can be denied a green card, which is, a huge step towards stability.
But the thing is, this rule has a much wider and, frankly, more damaging impact than you might think. It creates what researchers call a chilling effect. What that means is, even families who are legally eligible for help, like nutrition programs or healthcare for their kids, are too scared to use it. They're terrified it'll be used against them and hurt their chances of getting a green card. And that fear can have absolutely devastating consequences.
This quote really brings it all home. It's from a researcher at Harvard, Rita Hammett, who was an immigrant herself. And she says that the support her family received when they first got here, it wasn't a handout, it was a hand up. It gave them the foundation they needed to thrive. And now, get this, she's researching the very same safety net policies that once helped her family. It's proof that a little bit of support at the beginning can create this incredible ripple effect of positive change.
So what can be done? Well, the research points to 3 clear, evidence-based ideas. First, promote social inclusion. Policies like DACA, or even just access to a driver's license, have been shown to improve public health and safety for everybody. Second, simplify the safety net. Make it so eligible families can actually access the benefits they need without being terrified. And third, encourage supportive communities. Placing newcomers in stable neighborhoods with real opportunities actually improves their long-term health. It's a win-win.
So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? We've seen again and again how outsiders have been essential in pushing America forward, reshaping the culture, powering the economy, driving innovation. The history is pretty clear on that. And that means this whole thing isn't just a debate about policy. It's really a debate about who we are as a nation, because the way we treat newcomers today, that is absolutely going to define what kind of nation we are tomorrow.